Yay. Hello.
Hello,
Well,
in business.
firstly, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun getting to chat to people and finding out more about them and their business. So I think the best thing to do is for you to introduce yourself and tell me about your business.
Yeah, so my name's Andy. I'm a partner with Utility Warehouse. I stay in Edinburgh. I suppose best starting telling a little bit just about me. I stay here with my partner Danielle. I've got a daughter who's scarily 14 next month.
Right, that is
Lily.
mental.
Yeah, aye, it's crazy. I've got a lot of mates that are having like kids that are quite young now, and it's you realise how quickly that's passed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That stage, hearing them talking about stuff like that now. Some stuff we miss, some stuff not so much. The sleepless nights, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, they're the big motivation behind my business. So I think it's important to mention that. And I think for me, with my journey with Utility Warehouse, really started with I was introduced as a customer, so I was looking to save money on my utilities. It's quite a unique package where you can put things all in the one place, which was great. But it was also at a time where, as a family, we were starting to save. Literally, just look at saving for a deposit for a house. And I know you're Glasgow based, aren't you? But Edinburgh is not the cheapest for a house. So
I'm in Bathgate now. Don't let the accent
yeah,
fool you.
somewhere in between. So I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer when I was offered to share the benefits that I had seen of putting everything in one place and saving a bit of money. Share that with other people. You can get paid. You can do it flexibly around my current commitments, which was I'm working with Royal Mail, and I just thought, yeah, let's just see where it goes. And honestly, it was just a very relaxed start, but it's something that's grown into a big part of my life in the last sort of 4.5 years.
What's been the biggest kind of surprise from starting then? Because you had intended and been a bit more casual about it, and it seems to have taken a bigger kind of presence with what you're doing.
Yeah, I talk a lot. You've probably maybe somewhere in the networking group we're part of, Revitalise, you've probably picked up before. I do talk a lot about the personal development side. I think there was a couple of reasons for me in that. One was networking. I think being introduced to networking as a way of speaking to people about my business and growing my business. I was surrounding myself with people who were like-minded, who were trying to better themselves, and they were helping give advice and stuff, and that became infectious. That sort of cliche saying, about surrounding yourself with people who are maybe a bit better than you and maybe a bit more experienced. They've got things that you can learn from. So I was putting myself in better rooms, I feel. Whereas before, I was kind of just clocking into work, coming home, TV was on, football was on, maybe go to the pub every couple of weeks or something. It was very, and maybe look towards a nice little holiday every now and again, but it was very flat and repeatable. It wasn't exciting, I would say. So I think when I realised I was surrounding myself with that, but also UW itself was giving you something where you could start to earn your time back. And I think it became so much more for me than just a short upturn goal, just that house saving, where that would have had a means to an end. I mean, I got that after 14 months and I'm still very much doing Utility Warehouse. And I think it was that idea of having a bit of a purpose, a goal to work of that not just brings in money, but it actually gives you your time back and allows me and the family to do things together more often, and being able to afford to do more things. I think, it was something that I just couldn't switch off once I got my head around it. I was really passionate about it.
No, and I think you're in a very unique position from people that I've spoken with that they either are within a corporate job, and employed, or they've went self-employed. You've got that great mix of both. So you're getting to see, it's almost like you're getting the safety net from the Royal Mail, and then you're getting this spark of excitement from the self-employed kind of side of things for UW.
Yeah, I always talk about, it's funny you mention that, because I always remember, I think one of the first times once I started Utility Warehouse, I remember having like a couple of weeks holiday, and obviously I had more time to do my business, and I was out networking, and then I was like, in the evening, I was like, oh, I've ticked all my boxes in my business. I'm just going to switch off with family. I was loving life. It was like my ideal scenario. And I remember when I went back to the full-time work, I was back to that, trying to fit it in the evening, juggling, like I do a lot of running and gym work, try to fit the business in, try to find, the quality time with family. And I remember I was in a bit of a bit of a grump for like a day and a half. And then I just thought, well, wait a minute. And basically what you just said, I realized I was very fortunate to, not be going into like networking rooms and the business calls and stuff with that pressure of I must sign you up, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I could almost go, well, right, okay, my full-time job's covering, putting food on the table, paying the bills,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm growing this thing that I can grow properly by getting to know people, getting people to trust what I'm doing, and people to refer me and things like that, but I don't need to do it from a desperate place, which, I appreciate people get into business and that is the case. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It's just reality. But, and some people get that real hunger by being forced into that. But you're right. It's gave me that, I can still enjoy time with family. I'm not having to do like 60, 70-hour weeks in a business. I can do it, fitting it around my commitments. But what was great was it also started to give me, like, stop working my day off. Like, I used to do quite a lot of overtime in my full-time job.
Yeah.
Later afternoon, evening work, or work my day off quite commonly, just doing what I thought was right and putting more money that way. This business gave me a smarter way of putting that money to use, and spending a little time in the evenings on calls meant I didn't have to work my day off. So
Yeah.
I'm not quite there where I want to be yet. It's very much a journey, but it was amazing how quickly it was giving me that time back, like not having to work my day off. And because I just thought, well, I can sit on a call and earn up to £300, or I can work my day off for like 8 hours physical shift and be paid like £100 plus I'm traveling there and back. So it just opened my eyes, to be honest, Emma. It just really changed my perspective on how I should work and the way of working.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's brilliant. And I think when you're mentioning actually on you're not where you want to be, what is in the pipeline? What is your vision? Like when is it complete for you? When's it enough?
I think it's a great question. And I think the big conversation I had with myself, maybe after about a couple of years in, where I think I spent that first couple of years, especially, as I say, the first 14 months was all about getting income to build for that house saving. So I was very much focused on customer gathering, bringing in customers, helping customers save money. And I found that quite easy because I thought, well, I knew the benefits. So I was just telling people about it. I was just almost duplicating what I had benefited from. So I found that quite straightforward. But then I started saying to myself, when my mind was starting to shift to the longer term aspect and wanting to do this business, something that gives you a bit more control on your time, the flexibility to do it, kind of work not full time, but bring in a full time income through UW almost, and a passive income. Once I was locked into that, I thought, right, well, Andy, if this is going to be the only thing you end up doing, and you do get to a point, are you going to enjoy it? And I think what I found a purpose in, and this is where I'm trying to lead more towards now, was the supporting and mentoring.
Yeah.
The aspect of my business where I bring in other people. And I mean, that does have its benefits in terms of the passive income. There's a benefit to that where you support other people and they go up and grow a big business. That is a benefit of that as well. But I think the part that I love was the first person I ever helped to some sort of success in UW. I thought, I love this. I wasn't sitting thinking of the income. I was thinking, I want to be more involved with this, because I think, I joined UW as a customer and I thought that was great, but it's not changing my life. I'm not running about, I'm like every day celebrating because I've got everything on the one bill. It was helpful and it makes sense, but it's not life changing. I mean, for some people, it really does make a difference, but it's not, you might be a year or so down the line from your bills needing reviewed again and things like that. But I think the income, some of the things that I've already mentioned, the house savings, and realizing that I could do that while strangely spent, like if I was to tell you you're going to start something new and to earn more money, you're going to think, right, I'm going to be busier.
Yeah.
But I started to reduce my hours at work. So it was like bringing in more money, but having spending more time with family. It was like, I just would never have thought that was a possibility. Like, I always thought, right, to put more money on the table, you need to invest more hours in your workplace. That was all I knew. So I think for me, being able to share that with other people, and I think where I would thrive and where I would love to be doing more of, what I'd love to be doing more of is seeing those benefits for other people. So, someone joining because they've not been on holiday for a few years. And, fast forward 12 months down the line, they've had a bit of work with me, they've got started, and they're telling me, at an event, oh, that's me and my family just went away on a nice holiday. I'm so glad, Jim. That for me is like fulfilling. It gives me a purpose. And I think for me, that's where I was like, yeah, right, that's where I want to get to. I do want to do this business full time. It's not just a means to get someone else, because I love the mentoring side.
You're getting that fulfillment back from it.
Yeah, and I realised, to be honest, I realised that I've always had that drive and passion for helping people, like in jobs and stuff like that. But I guess I never ever felt recognised, and I never ever felt that it was a huge benefit to my life, because you were maybe putting so many hours to do that, and it was never getting much back, or it was just almost expected in an employment job. So to have an industry where the more you do that sort of thing, the benefit it can have for you and your family was a bit eye-opening for me.
Yeah. What so how are you finding? I remember when I first heard about UW, it was someone that I knew that was doing what you're doing, and bringing people into the team and working with them, and I had never heard of it. And it was, I speak to him, and I'm a UW customer as well, now as well. But for people that are wanting to join your team, have you found it more difficult now that it's more widely known? Is it harder to get business, or is it easier?
I think probably you could say it's a challenge, because maybe more people have already spoke to people. Quite commonly, you're right. I mean, I remember when I first started, it was almost like harder to get the name out there, because people were like, I've not heard of them. So straight away the wall was up a bit, because I hadn't heard of them. So it makes it easier when you're having a conversation. People are like, oh yeah, I've heard of them. But likewise, sometimes you speak to people and like, oh yeah, I'm already signed up. But I mean, for me, I think I've always been conscious that, I think we all connect with people. And for me, I've been sort of probably the last 6 months, maybe 9 months, I've tried to focus more on who I would connect with.
Yeah.
I'm still at the moment working full time. So I started thinking, right, who do I actually connect with? And I think it's like busy full-time workers, parents, people who are wanting more free time and more time with their family. And I'm like, I was had a bit of like self-reflection, and I mean, I think the opportunity is available for everybody. And I think I was very much approaching like the opportunity in that way to people. But I'm kind of trying to be a bit more like selective, and almost trying to niche down and say, right, who's going to be good to work with me? Like, who's going to be, not that I would refuse anyone out with this criteria, but who's going to be good to be like, they're also going to be at work during the day.
Yeah.
They're also going to come in the evening and have family. They're maybe also similar to when I started, they're also working their days off, working weekends and things like that, whatever it may be. These sort of people that I can say, look, this is something that I started and amazingly gave me more time back. Or you got a couple of young kids. I really wish I had started this when she was a bit younger.
Yeah.
And just sharing that experience. So I think for me, I'm just focusing more on that. I'm not. I think the opportunity. I think there's so many people out there looking for money. So I don't think it's becoming hard. You know what I mean? Like I think it's just connecting with the right people, and people feeling. I mean, the hardest thing I think, and I do get it, because it was similar to yourself. I hadn't heard of it, and then somebody I knew, somebody through my partner actually introduced us. But I'd never heard of it. And as I say, I'd never known it was going to be such a big part of my life. I literally just got started because I thought it seems a smart way to earn a bit extra income.
Absolutely.
And I think people think about it too much and get so complicated. And I think one of the things people dread is having to go speak to people, and it's hard, because you see the benefits, and then the reality sets in when they have to start speaking to family and friends about what they're starting to do. And I think for me, I'm really trying to find people who are just not bothered about that. They're bothered about the outcome. Do they want to put more money on there for their family? Do they want to spend more time with them? If they're so driven by the why, they won't bother about what they need to do to get. I mean, for me, networking was not anything I'd even heard of. I was like, who are all these people in these networking rooms when I first went into them? For all I knew, I just didn't know that these meetings were happening. So, I mean, for me, I was willing to do that though, because I could see what it could potentially do for me. So I was like, right, let's just try this. It was scary. Going in a networking room for the first time was not my easiest choice. But for me, I need to find people who are similar to that and just make a decision. They just decide, yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, I'm going to have to speak to people. I'm going to have to get out there and do things that are maybe a wee bit uncomfortable. But I want to do it because I want to, spend more time doing things I enjoy, or spend more time with people. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
And I think the fact that you're living proof of you had gone, it's almost like you've gone the motions of what you would expect someone to hit you out with objections from. You've come from, I'll give it a bash to get some extra cash. Oh, look, a slogan.
I'm going to steal that one. I'm going to steal that.
You can have that. So I'll give it a try. You kind of dip your toe in, and then you start to, I think the fact that you are getting more time for yourself is time is when you take money out of it, time is brilliant. And I think to be able to do the things that you love and spend it with those people, and you've achieved that, and you're still making the money there as well, it also helps from your side, I think, to buy from you, because there's not that I need to make this sale, you know, I need to get this. It's a genuine connection that's coming through with it. And I think that's really a brilliant selling tool for you yourself. As you know, I've achieved it. It's easy enough for me to do. And it's not as if I've come in going, right, let's do this. You know, it was a slow
It's
burn.
right as well. It's funny you mentioned that bit there as well, because I've kind of accidentally stumbled on that kind of niche area as well, because I'm almost like a really unsalesy UW guy. You know, I think people expect that kind of really upsell push in the market, the industry that I'm in. But I've always just been like, yeah, look, it's there. It helps. I think it can help people, like, take it or leave it. And maybe I could have grown my business, and I kind of have this debate with myself sometimes. I like the way I'm growing my business, but it's definitely, I'd like to grow it faster. But I do it from a kind of ethical way, where I'm just kind of like, look, this has genuinely helped me. I can share what's helped me, and I'm just kind of constantly sharing my journey out there, whether that be on social media or networking. I kind of focus more on what it's done for me and what it continues to do for me, more than what I used to do, which was initially like cheapest energy supplier, here's a broadband offer, cashback stuff. And now and again, things are relevant to do that, but generally I'm trying to share, you know, being able to go to my daughter's horse riding, being able to actually give her that consistency so that she can, because before UW, we used to do it sporadically, right? Oh, this month, yeah, we can get you one lesson. And then it'd be the next couple of months, we're like, look, things are a bit tight, we can't really do that. And she was never really growing. See, now we don't even really think about how much she's developed. Like, we go down once or twice a week, she's there consistently. And like, she just gets on a horse without even thinking. And like, it was a few months ago, me and my partner were like, we don't even really think about like how good she just jumps on a horse and goes. Yeah, and like, these are all things that, like, you're right, I can share with people, and it's not to be pressured. It is just say, look, I mean, I had an example. I think we were at a family party a couple of Christmases ago, and my cousin actually said that to my partner. She said, I can't believe what he's like nowadays, because I was just giving to people in the kitchen. And I'm like, when my partner told me the next day, I says, well, to be honest, I go in networking rooms, I don't know anyone that's in them. So talking to a couple of my uncle's mates in the kitchen doesn't seem like a big deal anymore.
It's a lot easier.
It's amazing what other people notice in you, because as much as I'm talking about the income and things like that, and even the time, I think the time is the biggest thing for me, in terms of structuring your life a bit better so you're in control of your time and how you spend it. But that personal development side for me, UW put that in my plate, because I thought this is something where it's given me enough reason why that I'm going to make a decision. Whereas an employment job wasn't really doing it. You know, I was still quite hard working. I would always be hard working. I'd always put hours in. I think I was on a path where I would have just ended up in a better position in the company, but just working a lot of hours. That was kind of how I seen success prior to UW. Whereas now I'm kind of more focused on my time. So, I mean, I can share that with people. You know, you're right, 100%.
And I think what really comes across is, even when we first started this call, and you were telling me, you know, you just finished and this is not discrediting your job outside of UW, but the passion changes completely, and it's so much easier. Networking is, for me personally, I am probably the most introverted extrovert, or vice versa, extroverted introvert. It's terrifying going into a room. There's all these people that are already in clusters there. But when you've got a passion for it and you're talking about it, it comes across, and you can really see that difference, that you are excited about it. And that just makes the journey a lot easier. And I think it makes it a lot easier for people want to join your team as well.
Yeah, I think I had a big breakthrough in networking after the first few months, and I thought I've spoke about this a lot with people, but I think because I was so nervous to go networking, and I was kind of trying to script in my head what I was going to say, and like, oh, make sure you say this because like there's an offer on at the moment, and it was almost like in my head I was like, right, I'm spending time here, some events you're spending money, And I was so excited as well. So a mixture of nerves and excitement. It was very much like, right, go to this event and make it productive.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost like trying to maybe speak to people about showing them there and then, or messaging them the next day saying, great to chat yesterday. And you were trying to sign them up, and just classic networking mistakes. But it genuinely came from a point of like nerves and excitement of what I just started. It wasn't from any place of like malice. But I remember going to an event in Glasgow one night, and I kind of didn't know exactly how the event was going to go. I'd never been before. So I went, and then all of a sudden, like, put you in a little breakout group, and it was literally like a wee sand timer, and you had like 60 seconds to speak. And I was like, oh no, I'm not ready for this. And I just I spoke a lot about family, and I spoke about, oh, we're trying to save for a house. And I was like, me and my partner kind of came from families that's not the norm, to buy a house. We kind of want to break that trend and show our daughter that if we're working hard and we like try and get a nice house and stuff. So spoke about that, and I went around the group, and there was like 4 people who were like, look, we've heard the utility warehouse stuff before, but not like that. Not like the reason why, and more personal stuff. And people were like, do that. And I just thought, I remember driving back from Glasgow to Edinburgh that night, and it wasn't about like I hadn't brought business in. I kind of no plans to really get anything the next day or anything. But I just thought, change, just like go to networking and just get to know people. And like you'll know yourself, Emma. Like and what I found so strange was when I started doing that and just relaxing, people would start asking me. They would say, oh, like I would reach out to them to get a one-to-one chat, and they'd be like, oh, can you just help me with my utilities? I've not dealt with this for years, and I don't know what it is, but I feel comfortable talking to you. And I was like, wow, like I always thought like the more you push it and the harder you work, the more you're likely to get something. It was kind of reversing that.
As
it
soon as
just
you take
made
a
like
step
more.
back.
Yeah, it just made my approach. It made me really love networking. I just thought, and it feeds back into what we spoke about earlier about I don't have that pressure that some people probably do when they go to a network group, and they're probably like, I need to get people in, and I'm willing to speak to 10 people just to get two because this is my business. This is what and I get that, I completely understand that, and you would just do what you need to do. But I have actually got that fortunate position where um, I don't need to do that. So I can get to know people properly, let them develop trust for me and let them want to use me and my services or find out more about the income opportunity, etc. I can do that in a more natural way. As I say, I sort of get split with myself sometimes with that because I do want to grow the business quicker than I am. So it's finding that balance for me now. I think where I'm more consistent in speaking to people every day and more purposeful about it, but still keeping that, not just like a spam message. Like that's not me.
No, people definitely buy for people, and I think as soon as something's rehearsed and pre-thought, it suddenly loses its authenticity. At least from my perspective, I know a lot of people might disagree, and they go, "No, I like to have a structure and a way that." But I think that kind of more personable way is what makes people go, "I'm going to work with you," or "I'm going to," whether it's getting their utilities with you or actually joining your team. It's that kind of side of things.
Yeah.
That being said, if you to win the Euro Millions tomorrow, I don't know if it goes tomorrow, I don't even do it, but if you did a ridiculous amount of money, what would you do with your time? Would you want to do anything? Would you work at all, or would you be on a yacht, or would you start something new?
See, this feeds back to kind of what we spoke about earlier, because that was a question I asked myself, not necessarily the Euro Millions, which sounds really nice. I must admit, I'm like you, I never really enter it, which kind of rules me out. But I must admit that was the kind of question I asked. I said, right, let's say you do bring in so much money. Like, because I am someone who likes to get up and go to work, and I like that. And I suppose that was the question I was asking myself. So what if that wasn't needed anymore? Would UW be enough? And I think that's where I feed back to the mentoring, supporting side. I think as long as I'm doing something where I feel almost like it's not work, but it's helping people. So like even in my work since doing UW, I think feeding back into the personal development, like I do a lot of union work now, and I love that as well. Like I love going around different offices and introducing people to how they can get help on various things within the union. And again, it feeds into that loop, doesn't it? And I'm also like a workplace coach in my work, because again, it's like helping upskill people, it's helping people who are new into the job, like learn the job and ask questions and be there to help them. And I think no matter what it is, I realised that I think what that would do, I mean, obviously there'd be obvious things where I think I would probably travel more, do a lot of things with family, and that would be number one.
Yeah.
We would do so many things, but like, you know, and instead of waking up and thinking, right, well, we need to go to work to eventually get a holiday in a few weeks or a few months, it would allow me just to go do that anyway. But I think you still want to live a life, don't you? You can't. I mean, if you've got crazy amounts, then obviously you maybe feel like you wouldn't. But it's almost your purpose, isn't it, to help people?
I don't think I could ever just sit and do nothing. I think I
No.
would need to be busy.
Yeah, and I think I think I would still love doing the UW stuff.
Mhm.
Like, I wouldn't feel any need to obviously go chasing customers as much as I maybe do now. That would probably be a big change. But would still love helping people. That would still,
Yeah.
I don't see why I would put that down. If someone feels like I could help them, I guess it wouldn't be as in front and center of my mind. But I think the income opportunity would still be there. I would still love to be helping people and growing a passive income, something that's still consistently, I think there would still be a huge benefit in that. So
you would just be doing it from the Maldives.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there is people who do that. You know, as long as they're still got access to a UK account, they can help people remotely, which would be incredible. But that's the thing. I think it would maybe just, you know, one of the questions I've asked myself: could you go into helping people in a different way? You know, like a charity-based way or something. You know, when you've not got the money needs as much as you do now, how could you do that? And that's something that, it's amazing when you ask that question. You sometimes say, is there stuff that I could do now? You know what I mean? Like, is there stuff that is it actually, sometimes when I've asked myself that question before, it's amazing how much stuff you realise I could actually choose to do that now. Like, I could go at the weekend, I could, as long as we plan stuff, like the amount of times as soon as we maybe at a family dinner or something start planning, like, what do you want to do on Sunday? Like, let's just go walk somewhere or something. Like, you could do that all the time. Like every evening or any evening you want. Generally you could do stuff like that. And it's amazing how much stuff that's on your to-do list, you don't actually need money to
be doing
do it.
Yeah.
So as long as I was still aligned with helping people, I think I was focusing on that. But yeah, definitely would be traveling and seeing other cultures and things like that. I'd love to do more of that. I've started being able to do a bit more of that since doing UW as well. But it would be nice to just spontaneously do it more without that annual leave from your work that I'm still working from at the moment. That would be the big thing, you know, just to be like, you know what, I fancy going away in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you wake up, it's middle of June, snowing somehow in Scotland, so you just decide to go.
Yeah. Yeah, just that freedom, I think that would be one of the big things. But that, and align myself still with helping people, would basically wear that. So I mean, for me, it's actually not much difference, which kind of might feel a bit crazy, but it also means I'm vindicated in what I'm doing, because I clearly enjoy it if I wouldn't put it down. And the ethos of what I'm doing, the reasons I'm doing it, would still be there even if I won millions. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah.
Well, I've got the hardest question yet. Right, and this might take you some time to think, so don't worry, we can allow that. I want you to give me 2 truths and a lie, mix them up. I want to see if people can guess to find out more about you.
2 truths and a lie. Oh. Right.
Don't worry, you can have some time to think.
Right. Some people might know this already. Is it just random things? Doesn't matter.
No, just random.
Right. So I've ran 2 marathons. I've slept overnight in a chippy, and I have a dog, pet dog.
Very good. And that was probably the fastest I think anyone's come back with that.
I'm surprised I didn't have anything in my head at all. I just I managed to do it.
Perfect. Well, I'll leave that out for anyone that's watching to then be able to try and guess which one is the right one.
I'm intrigued to see what people think.
I know. I'll give my opinion once I stop the recording.
Perfect.
But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been great to hear from you and find out more about everything. And if you send me links for people to get a chat with you, then I'll be able to pop that on as well.
Amazing. I really enjoyed that, Emma. Thanks.
Not a problem. We'll stop recording.